This is Amateur Logic episode 139 for January 2020. This episode of Amateur Logic is brought to you by MFJ, the world leaders in ham radio accessories at mfjenterprises.com, and by Icom. New year, new savings. Check out the Icom America website for current promotions on Icom 7610, 7300, and 9700. Welcome to another action-packed episode of Amateur Logic. I'm George.
I'm Tommy.
I'm Emile.
And I'm Mike.
And it's good to be back with everyone tonight. This is our first show for 2020.
Oh, it sure is.
Yep. So we'll have to see how the year goes. Hopefully tonight is no indicator, but yeah, I don't know. We'll see. Maybe it'll all work out right. We had a great New Year's Eve show, didn't we?
Yeah, it was fun.
It was a lot of fun.
Had a few little technical things to work through, but it was a great big time. I enjoyed it a lot.
It was. You know, anytime we're doing a live show, we've got a chat room going on at the same time. You can join us there. AmateurLogic.TV/chat. Of course, if there's not a live stream going, it'll be pretty quiet in there.
Yeah. If you're watching the live stream and you're not in the chat room, you're missing half the fun.
And the question is, Mike?
Which half?
Okay.
Well, we might have to upgrade that to 3/4.
Can we afford it?
No, come to think of it. Okay.
That'll put us over budget.
We may have to downsize.
Yeah. Well, what have you been up to, Tommy?
I've been playing around some of my Raspberry Pi stuff, and anyway, I got a little video this evening. Shows something I thought was kind of interesting.
Cool.
Getting ready for the local Ham Fest too.
Oh, that's right. That's next weekend here. What about you, Emile? Y'all got a Ham Fest going on down your way, don't you?
Oh, we do. It's the Sea Lark Ham Fest over in Hammond, Louisiana. It's tomorrow. And, I'm going to miss it because I've been voluntold some tasks to do, but I hope everybody enjoys it and gets to attend it. I always like going to that Ham Fest over there. So, unfortunately, I'm missing it.
Yeah, I know Don Wilbanks is going to be there because I talked to him Wednesday night, and he was asking if I was coming down. I said no, but we were suspecting you would be there. So Don will have to do the video representing there himself, I guess.
Yeah. I used to go to that one a lot, several times.
I've never been to that one.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to, though.
Is it in the same place, Emile? It used to be in like a round Coliseum type looking place.
Yeah, it's Southeastern's college campus gym, basically, or their student center, I want to say they call it. So, yeah, it's still there.
Oh, cool. Yeah, it was
Cool.
a nice venue.
What about you, Mike?
Well, not a whole lot going on. I at my wife's request, I've been reorganizing the ham shack and cleaning things up. And it's amazing what you find when you clean up. And I went through my box of incomplete dreams and found some kits that were partially assembled. And one of them we're going to talk about later on tonight.
Well, cool.
But I should mention one other thing. I was on Twitter yesterday, and the poor folks out on the west coast of Canada, out in Vancouver, BC, they just got dumped on, and they're not used to having any snow whatsoever. And some areas in the outside areas of Vancouver, I heard reports of up to a foot of snow, and people are posting videos of cars sliding all over the place, and one guy was trying to clean off his sidewalk with a lawn chair because he didn't have a snow shovel.
Wow.
Yeah, I guess a lot of people don't even have snow brushes in their car to clean the snow off. So you can see where they kind of use their hands on the side windows and doors, and they use the wipers for the front, but the back of the cars are all covered in snow.
Wow.
So yeah, they're having it pretty tough right now. It's really unusual for them to get that kind of snowfall, but it can happen, and this year it certainly did.
Wow. That's one of those things we don't experience down here too much. And if you got dumped on here, it wouldn't mean the same thing.
The few times it does snow here, though, that's how we clear it off the same way with these snow scrapers right here.
Yep. Yep. I cleaned it off with a brick on the windshield one time, but only once.
Oh, yeah.
That didn't work out too good.
Yeah, they were talking about that snow in the chat room a few minutes ago, getting me kind of worried. I got to go to Nebraska Monday, so I don't know what it's like up there. I haven't looked at the weather.
Well, let's get on into it. I've got, an email here that...
An email?
An email. And if any of you guys know the answer to it, or anyone in the chat room knows the best answer for this, let us know, because I just wrote him back and said, I got the same issue. This comes from Jay, KB0TS, and he said, "Hi George, I recently had the pleasure of trying to find a replacement for a small 5-volt 100 milliamp wall wart power supply. The problem is knowing the correct size of the coaxial barrel connector, and as you know, there are many. You probably know which one is which, and maybe there is a guide, but it's hard to order over the net. Maybe a segment on how to know what is what. Cheers, Jay." Well, we're all familiar with these kind of power connectors. Mm-hmm. And I just wrote him back and I said, I got the same issue. I just have to try them and see. I've got a big drawer of them where I collect them, though. I don't know, do any of y'all know the best way to size these up and figure out which one you need?
I'm not sure. I think I haven't seen it in a while, but I used to have a universal one of those, and it had the different size connectors in it.
Yeah.
They were marked, and I used to put those in there and see which one fit, but I didn't. And then still you got to take a little bit of risk for the inside.
Yeah.
Being a little bit
That's
off.
right.
The RadioShack had those, and there's still some of those around from other companies. But, red, green, or yellow is not really an official size.
No.
So, yeah, I don't know. Emile, you got any ideas?
Well, I'm gonna echo the sentiment I just heard, because I've seen it where the barrel seems to be, the outside part seems to be some type of standard, but that inside, different widths, different lengths. They even swap the polarities, and man, I think we'd be hard pressed to find some type of standard there, or I'm guessing there's a whole bunch of different ones.
Well, there are different sizes. You can go online to, Build Electronics parts distributor, and you can find the different sizes of them. They're rated for inner diameter and outer diameter, but they're all in millimeters. And I just don't know of a good rule of thumb. I was thinking perhaps if you had a set of metric drill bits, you might stick one in the inner there and determine what size that was, and then take
A caliper?
your calipers from Harbor Freight and measure the outer diameter. But I don't really know. I'm going to have to try that and see if it...
I do know from experience that, at least in the things that I have, the most common one is 5.5 by 2.1 millimeters. Almost everything I own is that size.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, I bought a pack of like 10 of them last time I ordered some because of that. And I've made several cables with the same one.
My daughter had a computer where the plug got broken, and I tried to find one locally, and I didn't have any luck. And the size turned out to be something like a 1.4 millimeter. The only time I've seen that size before is on a cell phone.
I don't know if you guys realized it, but we have the winner of a major award here. It's one of our hosts.
A major award.
Oh,
George.
A major award. Tell us about it, Emile.
All right, yeah. So during the holidays, I was listening and tuning in to WTWW, and I heard that they were having a Christmas picture contest. So I went ahead, got festive, decorated my little shortwave listening station here in the studio, and sent them a picture. Well, lo and behold, I got an email back saying, "Hey, you're one of the winners of the contest." And you can see there the station. I had to put my festive dog's getting his tongue stuck to the pole there, and the back left there's a pillow with one of our Weimaraners on it, and then some presents there. And Mike, I figured I'd honor the Canada Dry ginger ale, which is always around for the holidays here, and my little radio, my Grundig, that I picked up from RadioShack quite a while back, that I listened to their station on. So I was surprised, and I won a subscription to the Ham Test Online, which is going to help me out with the extra, along with Ham College.
That's a very
Excellent.
festive looking shack there, Emile.
Yeah, man, I had fun putting that together.
Yeah.
And just for the contest there, and I had my little QSO card with Ted Randall show there, so I put it all together and sent it on in, and paid off.
Yeah.
Well, cool. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congrats.
This video segment is it's still about the Winlink system. So last segment I was talking about VHF and its packet or AX.25. This time it's about the HF side and the two cheap protocols that basically, one of them replaced Pactor, which was Winmore. Well, they came out with a new protocol, and a lot of people are jumping towards that and their gateway station. So I wanted to check it out from a client perspective, where I'm the one sending emails using other people's gateway over HF. So check it out. Hey George, Tommy, Mike, and AmateurLogic.TV. As you guys might remember, a few segments ago, I've been spending some time with the Winlink system via running a RMS packet gateway through local VHF repeaters and AX.25 digipeaters that are in my area. While I was checking out or running the system, I noticed some settings in my system related to a Vara FM settings. So that got me thinking, I wonder what's out there and what's going on with some new protocols. So I started up my Winlink Express software here, and noticed that when I pull down the menu to open sessions over the internet or over the radio with it, there's some new modes here. I'm sure people have seen them who use this system, but I've never actually used them or checked them out myself. So I figured I'd do that here. I'm used to using the cheap alternative to Pactor, which is Winmore, and I'm noticing that people are switching over to using this Vara variant of a protocol. So let's check it out. So I got myself a test message ready to go here in my outbox, and I've also got the Winmore modem, or sound card modem in this case, set up, and I've picked a station that's well within my range. So let's give it a try.
And there's the test message received via my regular mail account. So this time I have the same message. This time I'm using the Vara Winlink session, using the Vara TNC. See how that one does. That's the same idea, just sending with the Vara protocol instead. Sounds like it's got some pretty good signal to noise ratio characteristics, or better handling than Winmore does, maybe. I'll have to read up on it. But it does work in good Winlink fashion. They've added yet another protocol for people to be able to send stuff over. There are some claims that this one's a lot faster, especially if you have the registered version, or if the other end has the registered version of this protocol. I'll have to check out the characteristics and read up on it some. Noticed it, so I figured I'd give it a try here. And so far looks good. And of course it also came through via Vara to my normal email client. So all is well, and a new protocol to use. So I did some checking. And that rosmodem.wordpress.com link is the group's website, EA5HVK's weak signal software, that has some more information about it. It's claimed it's a high performance HF modem based OFDM modulation Vara modem, brings state of the art military grade technology to new and existing HF data, introduces a new standard of technology available for amateur and commercial use, designed for operations with single sideband with a bandwidth of 2400 hertz. And there's some information here about what to expect, or how it works, and just a little simple diagram. So I'll be reading up more about it, no doubt, and seeing if I can't add some functionality to the station here, or the gateways. And here he's promoting really what it's capable of. 37,5 BPS symbol rate with 52 carriers. He's got a little diagram of what that looks like, and of course you guys just saw the modem in use. I'm pretty sure that was at a lower speed over HF and 80 meters than what it's capable of, but nonetheless, lots of information out there about it. So, and I believe there's other programs and softwares that use the protocol as well. Some point-to-point chat or keyboard terminal type chat, as well as file transfer, other software. So, I have to check them out. But at least it's integrated now into Winlink, and seems to work fine.
How can you go wrong with a cheap certified project?
Okay, so yeah, you really can't. But it again, it's worth mentioning on that one that, you know, that station was 600 miles away from me in Chicago or Illinois. and that was 30 watts, and he was pegging me at 10 over. That's a great protocol for when you're in the affected area with no infrastructure trying to get messages out of your area. Packet is kind of local, right? With VHF, UHF methods, even with repeaters, you're talking 70, 80 miles. But that one, 300, 500, 600, 1200, depending on band conditions, you can get a message out.
I need to play around with that some. I've never used it at all. Winlink, have you?
No.
I really need to play with some of that. It looks pretty interesting.
What were you saying, Mike?
No, I was just going to ask Emile. I don't know anything about that mode. Is there? I'm assuming there must be some sort of error correction.
Yeah, there's. I believe FEC is built into it. So if you go to the link, I just posted it in the chat room, Mike, and I believe I might have put something. I guess I'll have to send it to George and Tommy. But yeah, there's quite a bit going on in that protocol, as far as the establishment and the ramping up, error correction, and the ramping up and down of speeds depending on conditions.
We got a problem.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, there's lots there happening, which is really awesome. And the folks over at Winlink, or I think it's the Amateur Radio Safety Foundation, they just keep adding more ways to get into that network, which is I just find it fascinating. Always did.
Cool.
That's amazing, and especially now with the sunspot activity at a low, it's nice to be able to still use HF or something, even though sideband might not be the best mode to communicate with.
Tommy, you are next on the email stack there, and this topic right here, I can tell is near to your heart.
It is. It's right in front of it.
Yeah. What,
covering it up.
What is this email about?
Yeah, it's we talked about this a while back when RadioShack was kind of making a little bit of a resurgence, or we thought.
Right.
The first one that opened up, at least I believe it was the first one, was the one in Keller, Texas. And I mentioned wanting to go when I was out there working. Well, one of our buddies, Rick, KG5RJU, sent me an email the other day. It says, opened in August 2019, closing in January 2020. Sad days. I went to buy a precision resistor Saturday and saw the 50% off sign on most of the RadioShack branded parts. The manager said the owner was disappointed that the varieties of batteries didn't sell well, including marine, alarm, BU, automotive. He's opened the battery store only in the Metroplex and is closing the non-corporate RadioShack store in Keller. Apparently, the local shop is bidding to purchase all remaining RadioShack branded stock. Anyway, it's said he went in to buy a couple of resistors, and he came back with about $90 worth of stuff, including a tram disco antenna for $20 and a bunch of components, plugs, switches, and LEDs. It's expected to be open for a few weeks as they reduce stock. If you travel to DFW for work, you may want to stop by for a stock replenish purchase.
Well, that's a shame. I remember when that post came out about that store, and
5 months ago.
5 months ago. It's a shame to see it gone so quick. 5 months. I don't think the owner really gave it a chance. You can't open a business and expect to be setting the woods on fire that quick. And you wouldn't think of RadioShack as a place to go to get your marine batteries.
No, it's the last place I would go for it.
Yeah. Well, hopefully somebody will pick it up and
if you look,
keep it going there.
If you think about it, like every ham's got some RadioShack stuff. Emile's picture, he won his major award with. There was some RadioShack gear sitting right there. Everybody's got RadioShack gear, man. Like,
yeah, you do.
I buy my wardrobe there.
Hey, Mike, didn't you say you had the same radio I had, this Grundig?
Yeah, I think it's a G5. I've got two of them actually. I've got it's a bigger one, more of a lunchbox size, and I did a mod years ago to add a BFO to it so I could listen to sideband because it's only got AM and FM on it. But
did you say, was it from RadioShack? Because that's where I got this one.
yes.
Yep.
Yes, RadioShack used to be kind of like the dealer for Grundig and Eton in Canada. I think Eton ended up buying the rights to Grundig, or anyway, it was sold under Eton as well, because they have an Eton label. In fact, there was a really sought after shortwave radio. You've probably all heard of the Grundig satellite series, the Great Big Table Radio.
Yeah.
This one was even nicer. It had DRM and everything on it, and it was very modern looking. I think it was a silver color. I've only ever seen it once, and it was made by Eton, and it may have been branded as a Grundig at some time.
Nice stuff. When I first saw that your radio there, Emile, I thought it looked similar to mine, which did come from RadioShack, but mine is actually a Sangean, and it was kind of pricey back.
It's a RadioShack brand.
It's
But they rebranded.
I think it's Realistic. Maybe, I don't remember. It was one of the RadioShack trade
I had a
names.
DX392. I missed it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was DX303 or something.
Yeah.
I know what you're talking.
Yep. Well, I've got an email here that almost came from the Great White North. It came from our friend Dennis, who is in Alaska now, KL7HRL. He moved up there not too long ago, I think within the past year or so. So he's still getting his station set back up. But he said, "Hi, George. Packing to move to Alaska, I remember running across a Battery of the Month club. I wonder if you remember the Lifetime tubes. I remember them selling tubes. By the time I got there, well, as far as working at a dealer store, we didn't carry the tubes, and I'm not sure that they still sold them at that point. But I remember they had tube testers and all. He remembers buying the tubes with a lifetime guarantee, and all you need to do is keep the box and a receipt. Take the tube back for a new one if it ever failed. Ask Tommy where he hangs out on DMR. He has IRLP node 3555 now. And he's also on Echolink. You can look up KL7HRO-L. I have one radio to keep on the TGIF network and one on the Brandmeister network. He says he's waiting on parts for a hex beam, which he hopes to have up soon. And he's going to get that hooked up to an IC7300 and an IC7610. And he will raise the tri-band Comet for the 9700. That is some nice radios. All current stuff there. So, well, Dennis, good to hear from you. And there you go, Tommy. You can catch him on DMR.
Yeah, that's where I hang out. I don't really hang out on there. I'm set up. I've got a little handy-talkie, and I can get on there for my hotspot at home. But I don't usually take it when I travel. It just doesn't work very well when you're traveling. But when I'm on there, it's usually like TAC 10 or TAC 311, I think.
Well, he's got a 9700, so he could catch you on D-Star.
Yeah. D-Star would be reflector 30 most of the time.
Yep. I think it's time we take a quick break, get a message from our friends at MFJ, because we've got a lot more to go yet. Have you been wanting to experience the enjoyment of QRP operation with a compact, full-featured HF rig at an affordable price? Then you need to get your hands on MFJ's latest offering from Zygu, the G90 portable 20-watt HF transceiver with built-in auto antenna tuner. This 24-bit 48 kHz sampling rate SDR offers excellent transceiver performance along with a highly configurable operating experience. The built-in high-performance wide-range automatic antenna tuner means you can solve antenna issues and tune up quickly without additional equipment. making this a truly portable transceiver perfect for backpacking or most any type of operation where lightweight and minimal gear are desirable. A 1.8-inch high-brilliance color TFT LCD screen on the detachable display unit lets you position the radio any way you like for comfortable operation. The screen display is rich in content, making all information clear at a glance, and the plus or minus 24 kilohertz bandwidth spectrum and waterfall display are unheard of in a rig this compact. And with the Xiegu G90's function buttons on top of the control panel, all operations are optimized for ease of use. You don't need to set up various functions through menus, control all directly through the buttons and multifunction encoder. The high-performance front end with narrowband ESC preselector covers 500 kHz to 30 MHz for single-sideband, CW, AM, and digital mode operation. Software-defined narrowband filters let you tailor the SDR receiver to reduce unwanted adjacent channel interference and noise. There's a variety of interfaces, like the IQ output that allows you to interface with any external device that can handle baseband IQ signals, including sound card-based or PC-based applications. It's time to step up your QRP portable operation. Get all the details about the Xiegu G90. Visit mfjenterprises.com today. Thanks, MFJ, for sponsoring Amateur Logic here.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a cool looking little radio.
It really is for what it is. It looks nice. Really looks
It
nice.
really does.
I don't have any experience with it in the field. I've only played with it here, in the shack. But you say you might take it out in the
Yeah, I
field.
wouldn't mind taking it out and kick some tires. See how it works out. Might do that.
Cool.
And George, I think we might have some of our international viewers that might have done that, which we might see coming up shortly.
You may be right. You could be right. Well, for my segment this time around, I just wanted to show a little piece of free software here that I've been using in some certain applications that I just wanted to share with you because it's a pretty good solution for doing what it is I'm doing
Free
here.
software? You trying to give Emile a run for lack of money?
No, I've already turned Emile on to free software this week. I turned him on to a piece of software he can use just last night.
Cool.
He could use this one if he wants to. But
it works great, by the way, and it might make my segments look a little bit more like a pro did it. I might not be the cheap old man anymore.
well, we were having issues with nausea, so I thought that maybe I would. I thought maybe that you could benefit from it because it works good, and
Thanks for the info, by the way.
Oh yeah. So the reason I like it is because you don't have to know an IP address, you don't have to forward any ports, and you can use it remotely from just about any device on a web browser. And you can actually run the host on a lot of different devices, or the server, if you want to call it that, on a number of different devices. Just take a look at it here, and might be something you could use.
Might be.
On occasion, it can be really convenient to remotely access a computer. Today, we're going to look at that. You probably already know about Log Me In or Go to My PC, one of those services, and those are great. They are subscription services, and they do cost you a little bit every month. So we're going to look at some that are free or really low cost today. And we might want to be able to control not just our Windows PC, but perhaps a Mac, or maybe even a Raspberry Pi. Now, with the Raspberry Pis, the operating system comes with Real VNC installed on it. It's Real VNC Connect, which is free to run on the Pi here. However, to get it on the PC where you've got a machine you can connect to this with is going to cost you a subscription fee. But if you've already got VNC, or if you want to use another VNC client like say Tight VNC or Ultra VNC, those are still available free, and you could run them and use them to access your Pi that way. Or access another computer, whatever you want. We're just going to look at a Pi here because I happen to have one set up and it's convenient for us to use. This one is located, probably 25 miles from here at a transmitter site. The internet there is not the fastest in the world. It is Viasat internet service that I have there coming over the satellite. So not super fast, however, it does work. That's the only thing I could get there as well. As I was saying, the Raspberry Pi comes with Real VNC Connect installed. This is that remote machine at the transmitter site. And you can see I have VNC running here, and that's how we're accessing it. That works great. However, you need to have some ports opened on your router so that you can get through and connect to this. You also need to know the IP address that you're trying to dial into. Sometimes you don't have those options. So what can you use instead? Well, as I mentioned, go to My PC or Log Me In. Handles that perfectly because you don't need to know the IP address or set up port forwarding at that location. They have a lookup service that handles all that for you. There are other options available that are free or very low cost. We're going to look at one today, although I have VNC working here. If the IP address changed at that site, I would lose my connection. So what else could we do? Well, let's get out of VNC here. There is a service that's out there now. It's free. It's been around a while. There's also, I believe, a subscription service available. It's called dwservice.net. Here's the website. You just go on, create a login. Once you have done that, you can download the software. And there are several versions here. It's not just Windows. You've also got the option to get installs for Linux, Mac OS, Pine 64, Wand board, or the Raspberry Pi, which is what I did here. I installed it on that Raspberry Pi we were just looking at, and I went through the steps to configure it to run automatically every time that Pi boots up. Now I'm going to log in, and this is the screen we're presented with. I'm logged into the dwservice.net server into my account, and I see I've got the choices here of agents, shares, contacts, groups, analyze events, or my account. Let's go into agents, and you'll see here that I have two different machines set up. Both of them happen to be Raspberry Pis on this account. One of them currently is unavailable. It's offline, and yes, I know it is because rather than that Pi being out at the transmitter site, it's sitting on my workbench over here right now. Here's the other one that is online that we just looked at with VNC. It is available, so let's just click on it and log into it. It takes a moment because, as I mentioned, we are on satellite internet at that location. Once it's logged in, we've got some choices here. We can choose files and folders, and that's going to bring us up an Explorer type view where we can look at the various files that are on that system, and we can upload and download to it. You have the choice also of a text editor, a log watch, which I have never used. You can look at the resources of that Pi and tell how it's performing. Here we can see this one is a 1 gigabyte Pi. It happens to be a 3B plus at that location. We're using 49% of the memory, 51% is available. Right now we're using 0 CPU, or there's 1%. So not very much, and you can see I've got a lot of space available here. Almost 24 gigs on the 32 gig micro SD card that's installed in that unit. We can also see other information here like the tasks that are running on it or the services. So that can be pretty handy if you're remotely troubleshooting something. And then we've got the option here for a shell. We can get a command prompt here on the Pi and execute shell commands right there. But then the one I'm really interested in here is screen. We click there and we get the desktop of the machine. Just like we had a moment ago with VNC. I did not have to enter an IP address or set up any port forwarding at the router where this machine's located to be able to access it. I simply installed the DWService.net software on it and logged in. And DWService.net handled the rest. So here we go. We've got our machine. We can go in and do everything we would do just like we were sitting in front of the Raspberry Pi. This is mighty convenient to do. It can save me a lot of driving between sites and allow me to check on things that otherwise I might not get to check on till the next visit out there. Now, in my experience, it's not quite as fast as using VNC, where you've got a direct connection from one machine to the other. However, it is fast enough to get the job done, and you know it's going to work because you don't have to worry about the IP address or port forwarding. And you don't need any special client software to access a computer that's running DW Service. Just fire up a web browser and log in. You can do it from a Windows machine, a Mac, a Raspberry Pi, an Android, or an Apple device like I'm doing right here with this iPad. So there you go, a good free resource for your toolbox, DWService.net. Check it out. What do you think?
That's pretty nice. It's cool that it works off the Raspberry Pi.
Mm-hmm.
So I've been thinking about some of the digital stuff I've been tinkering around
The
with.
one you can't remember what it's called right now.
Yeah.
That one?
Anyway, I've had some of the digital stuff I've been tinkering around with on my Pi. Be
Yeah.
coming up in the next segment or two to be able to use it from remotely.
Oh, is it a remote
Rig
device? Rick Pi.
Yeah, my rig
Yeah.
Pi.
Okay. Cool. Well, I don't know. What about the peanut gallery here? Y'all familiar with that one?
I have not heard of that one before, but that's pretty cool. I'm gonna have to check that out in more detail.
Yeah, and I tell you what, George, you got me wondering what the wand board was. I was looking that up when you mentioned what they support. Looks like it's a Debian little computer or baseband computer.
Oh.
Baseboard, sorry. Wand board, though. They called it wand board. I had to go look that up.
Yeah, I'm not really familiar with that one. The thing I like best about this service, and I don't use it for everything, I've just got it, on a couple of Pis that are at transmitter sites right now, but is the fact that it'll run on, the server will run on all those different platforms, and a client, all you got to have is a web browser, so you don't even have to install anything. You can be at a computer you've never been at before, and if you need to access that, you can just log in with the browser and
Yeah, that's pretty
and
nice.
it
George.
works. Yes.
There's a question in the chat room from N7XGR. He's wondering if it supports audio.
I am not positive. I don't think it does, but I can't rule it out. I'm not sure. Don't believe it does, though. But you can go to dwservice.net and check it out there and learn more about it.
Yeah.
For what it does, really nifty piece of software. There's others too that, like I said, it's basically similar to Log Me In or Go to My PC or TeamViewer, except this one you don't have to have a client, just a web browser.
That's really cool.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm gonna check that out.
And because it's a client, you don't need to open ports either.
Right. Right.
Is that the one you use to turn the internet on and off with, George?
One of those, You might have noticed something sitting on the desktop there that looked like, yeah, maybe you could turn the internet on and off with it. Yes, as a matter of fact, that one was the one that I reboot the internet with.
I knew you were in control. I knew it all along.
Well, Emile, you've got a post here to tell us about that came from, was it Facebook?
Yeah, it was over, I believe it is Dublin, or I think he must have been on a trip. Anyway, OZ4PAT, George Dolan, was showing this picture of his Zygu, the one you just showed, I believe, from MFJ. And he was operating it from the mountain, the Dublin Mountains, as he says. And this post just struck me. I mean, the scenery of where he was pretty awesome to me. There's a stream there, and something I noticed about the radio itself, just from his acoustic audio, it sounds like it has really good audio from that little box. And I think it's a 20 or 30 watt radio or something like that. So it kind of piqued my interest. Not only the site he was, as you know, one of the international watchers and listeners here from Dublin, but it also seemed like a pretty good QSO that he was monitoring there. And so I was just kind of struck by the scenery of this post. And George, it was a Facebook post from George Dolan, OZ4PAT.
Yeah, it's beautiful over there.
Yep. You've been over there.
I was beginning to forget what the green stuff looked like.
Yeah, y'all don't have it up there this time of year, do you?
Not much.
Well, tell me, what's your next one there?
Well, I got one that actually got forwarded through you. Anyway, it says, I found this, it came to you actually. Hi, George, I found this sign walking through the tiny town section of Merrick, New York. Can you ask Tommy if a squirrel is really innocent? Signed, Ken, W2REZ. And they're not really that innocent in my neighborhood. I just know that. But actually, we've kind of made a truce. This kind of comes from a long time back when I used to have a lot of trouble with the squirrels chewing my rope that's holding my antenna down. But I haven't had any trouble with that in a long time, so we kind of got a little truce going on right now.
Well, that's good.
So, anyway, yeah, it was pretty funny.
We used to have trouble with squirrels at our work. We had squirrels would jump across from a tree to one of the hydro poles and would bridge and short circuit and blow the fuse. And this had happened about 3 times in a row. And I finally suggested that when they came to replace the fuse, the hydro company, that they trim the trees. And I think I have a picture somewhere. The poor fella was a crispy critter at the base of the pole.
Oh, no.
All the hair was singed off of it and everything else.
Oh, yeah, that happened at Huntsville Hamfest a year or two back. I don't remember exactly when. We were sitting in the hotel, and all of a sudden everything went dark, and there's a substation like across the street from it there, and a squirrel got tangled up and in the wrong pair of wires.
Oh, wow.
And, yeah, shut
Poor
the whole
squirrel.
thing down. Yep.
Probably never knew what hit him, though.
Hey, we still got a good bit to go, but first a message from one of our fine sponsors, Icom. New year, new savings. Bring in the new year loud and clear with some of Icom's most innovative products. Check out the Icom America website for current promotions on Icom 7610, 7300, and 9700. Start the year off right with the high-performance IC 7610, a direct sampling transceiver that will change the world's definition of SDR. It has the ability to pick out the faintest signals even in the presence of stronger adjacent signals. RF direct sampling system, 110 RMDR, independent dual receivers, and dual digicell. With the IC7300, Icom is changing the way entry-level HF is designed. High-performance, innovative HF transceiver with a compact design that will far exceed your expectations. RF direct sampling, 15 discrete bandpass filters, large 4.3-inch color touchscreen, real-time spectrum scope, and SD memory card slot. The IC9700 was built with the VHF-UHF weak signal operator in mind. Faster processors, higher input gain, higher display resolution, and a cleaner signal. Icom's IC9700 is the pinnacle of perfection. 4.3-inch color touchscreen, dual watch operation, and full duplex operation in satellite mode, real-time high-speed spectrum scope and waterfall display, voice recording playback functions with SD memory card, supports CW, AM, FM, single sideband RIDI, and D-Star DV and DD modes. Visit icomamerica.com/amateur for more information and current promotions on Icom 7610, 7300, and 9700.
You've got a segment here on something about involving a Pi. Yeah, I got some new Raspberry Pi 4s a while back. We talked about them, and I haven't done very much with them, so try to check the speed out, see what the difference was between it and the 3.
Will you share that with us?
I sure will. The Raspberry Pis have been out for quite a long time, and you've seen us do a lot of things on the show here with them. They're a lot of fun. They've kind of changed the way people experiment, the way people do computing at home. It's put computing within the reach of people that can't afford some of the higher end machines. $35 and you can get a Raspberry Pi and plug it into a monitor or a television set and get a keyboard, and you're in business. Now you can see the hardware is a little bit different. Let's take a closer look. If you look at the 4, you've got actually 2 micro HDMI ports now. So you can have dual monitors with this one. You've got a USB-C port, which is actually the power connector. It requires a little bit more power than the other ones. We've got the same headers here for the camera and stuff, and then we've got the GPIO pins, just like before. As I mentioned, the network cable is on the right. USBs are on the left. If you look at the left side there, you've got black connectors for some of the USB ports, which are USB 2, and blue connectors for the other set, and those are USB 3. So if you think back a long time ago when the Pi 1 was out, I tried to make a network attached storage out of mine. It worked okay, but it was a little bit slow. USB 3 is pretty fast, so you could make a pretty nice network attached storage out of this little device and a USB hard drive. So if you need network attached storage, that's something to think about. The old tutorial I did should still be valid for this, but we may revisit that sometime in the near future and do some benchmarks on it. What I've done is I've got a brand new Pi 4. I've got 2 of them actually. The 4 gig one is running right here, and that's what I'm going to be testing with. It's in a little case with a cooling fan on it because it gets a little bit warmer than the other ones when you put a load on it. And then I've also got a 3 across the room with the same type of case with the same cooling fan on it running at the same speed. I downloaded Raspbian and I burned it to 2 cards, fresh installs. I put all of the updates on it, and I updated the kernel or the firmware for both the Raspberry Pis. And so we're going to start off and do the same tests we did back in episode 89. If you think back then, that's when Peter did a spoof about the Raspberry Pi 4. It was intended to be funny, but some people got their hopes up about it. Well, real Pi 4 has been out for a little while now, so I'm just kind of getting around to doing this test. We're going to run the same benchmarks we did previously, and I'm going to say it, same thing I said before. One quick word about my benchmark here. I realize that it's flawed. This is not the ultimate test of the processor power of a computer. The tests are flawed. It's not intended to be a thorough benchmark. It's just a high overview. The Pi 4 is supposed to be able to be a desktop replacement type computer at a very low cost. So there's a Raspberry Pi 4 with 1 gig of RAM on it. That's about the same price as the Pi 3. But then there's also a 2 gig version and then a 4 gig version. And I'm going to go ahead and use the 4 gig one because I've already got it in my case. This is a $79 little computer which is still very cheap. We're going to try and see how that fares. There'll be a little bit of overhead for VNC, but it's going to be close enough to tell it's a difference because they're both running the same versions of VNC connected to the same computer, and I think they're running the same resolution. So the Pi 3 is named Friday. Let's go ahead and connect to it. And there is it. And I've got the Pi 4 named Jarvis, same as I've always used for it. So let's go ahead and check the CPU and double check. So if you're curious about which CPU you've got, you can do cat proc/CPU info, and it'll tell you which one you've got. I've got a Raspberry Pi 3 Model B Plus revision 1.3. Let's do the same thing on the other one. Cat proc CPU info, and you can see this is my Raspberry Pi Pi 4 Model B revision 1.1. Now, like I said, there are actually three versions of this: a 1 gig, a 2 gig, and a 4 gig. And if you want to know which one they are, you can check this. The revision is C03111. The 2 gig would be B, and the 1 gig would be A, with the same sequence after it. So that's how you can tell easily if you're not sure. I've got a little notepad here with the same command that I used to benchmark, and I'm going to just copy and paste that in here. So let's do this, and let's run it on the 3 first. We're calculating pi out to 5,000 places. The time command here is basically going to tell us how long the rest of this command took to operate. And it took 1 minute, 5.3 seconds. Let's try the same thing for the Pi 4. And let's let it go. Incidentally, the last time I did this, Peter asked if this uses all the cores. And these are 4-core processors on there, but it does not. If you look up here at the top, you can see it's only using 25%. That's why I say the tests are flawed, but it does give you an overview of how fast the new board is. If you want to run this test on your own, you're going to need to install the BC command, or the command line calculator, and you just do that by typing sudo apt-get space install space BC, and it'll install for you, and then you can do the same thing if you like. Okay, there is a difference. 38.1 seconds on the Pi 4 and 1 minute 5 seconds on the Pi 3. In the last one we ran the Octane benchmark, so let's go ahead and copy the link to that. Copy, and let's run Chrome on the Pi 3. Let's do it first, and we'll paste that in there and hit enter. We'll click run, and I'm not going to touch anything while this is executing, so I don't want to weigh the results. But if you look at the CPU up there at the top right, you will see that it's using more than just 1 core. Now this really is probably a better test than calculating pi. But again, like I said before, there is something kind of poetic about benchmarking a Raspberry Pi by calculating pi on it. So I could not resist that. Okay, finished. 3,201 is our result on the Pi 3. So now let's try the 4. Let's copy the URL again, and let's try it on this computer. And let's start. Again, I'm going to leave the mouse alone. This one does seem to be going a little bit faster. And again, you can see in the top right corner the CPU graph that we are using more than 25% of it. Okay, it finished. 8,372 to 3,201. You can see that's over 100% faster than the Pi 3. That's quite a bit of difference. Okay, so for one last test, I'm going to go to YouTube. And let's find something to play, and let's see how it plays video. Here's our last Amateur Logic. There's some more Raspberry Pi there. You can see we love Raspberry Pis on this show. That's actually with VNC running also. Hope you found this interesting. I thought it was interesting myself. I knew it was going to be somewhat faster, but I didn't realize it was going to be over 100% faster. So anyway, we'll see you next time. 73. That's a pretty good bit faster than the 3.
Yeah, I see that. Let's get on into the emails again here, because I've got one more, and I believe you've got another one too, Tommy. But
I do have another one.
My first one here is, who did this come from? Donald Glover, KC9ZMY. And he said, I just wanted to thank you, Tommy, Emile, and the whole crew for a wonderful New Year's Eve. I always marvel at the high production level you're able to achieve. I'm not sure he's talking, was this to me?
So you got the right show?
Yeah. So I just wanted to say thank you and tell you how much I appreciate the team. Isn't it time we reflect back on 2019 and our old pal, the Hat?
It is. This is actually a tweet. We are on Twitter, although we don't talk about it very much. I monitor it a good bit. I just don't post very much. But this is from our friend John, K2BAG, said, Happy New Year 2020 from K2BAG and the Amateur Logic Hat on the Road. The link below is a collection of the 2019 Hat on the Road. And as you can see, that hat has got
It's got
a
some
lot
miles
of
on it.
miles.
Yeah.
It's been all over the place, to Vegas, to Dayton, to you name it. I think, was this year that they went to Japan?
Was it this year? I think maybe, yeah, it was.
The hat, it's awesome. John represents very well with the hat. The hat got away from him in Las Vegas. So if you notice, this is hat 2.0. So right at the end of the year, he's got 2 more hat pictures that he added. But anyway, that hat had a lot of miles on it. I'm sure, I know I would have been upset if I had taken it that far and then end up losing it somehow.
Well, you can see the hat got off on its own in Vegas, that could be an issue.
Well, what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas, including the hat, I guess.
I guess so.
But anyway, thanks for posting all those, John. That's really cool to see those. So you've probably seen a few of them before, but there's some on there that we haven't shown.
Yeah. Well, Mike has got a project he is working on here. We're going to come back and talk about that in just a moment. But first, we're starting a new semester at Ham College.
Yes, sir. We sure are.
And this is just to kind of get you warmed up right here, because it's gonna get rough. We're going to the extra.
Don't scare them away.
Well, we're going to take it easy on them. We'll let them look at this promo of earlier episodes.
At the end of each month, it's AmateurLogic's Ham College, the new show for those new to the hobby and those wanting to get into amateur radio.
Which of the following is a purpose of the amateur radio service as stated in the FCC rules and regulations?
That inductor and capacitor form a tuned circuit. That's how you tune the radio to the frequency that you want. The English language.
We lived in town. I liked it. I listened to mine a lot. It was really cool because you didn't have to have a battery to power it.
There's our homemade telegraph station. We can use it for long distance communications. 3 feet here?
Across the table. The answer is B. Voltage was named after Italian physicist Alessandro Volta.
We can see we're generating a little bit of electricity there. It's DC.
It's always great to go back and get a refresher.
It sure is.
A lot of that stuff, if you've been a ham for a while like we have, you don't really think about a lot of that stuff that often.
They didn't have electric screwdrivers in those days, so that's why we're not using one.
That's why we went primitive with it.
Yeah. So let's see if we can hear anything when we fire off our spark gap transmitter.
Oh yeah.
Well, we didn't build anything or blow up anything today, but
The night's still young.
Mike, what are you working on up there? I know you were to the box of what? What was the name of that box you had?
The box of unfinished dreams.
Okay.
I love the name of
I
that.
discovered how full that box was. In fact, that box actually spilled over into another. Well, it didn't all fit in the box. Let's just say that. Particular kit that I've been working on is this Ultimate 3. It's a Whisper transmitter, and it's nice that it's the way it's built is it's all modular, and the boards kind of stack. So typically the kit comes with one filter. But this is a sequencer, and we'll switch between 6 different bands. The one built in, or the one that's on the board, and then there's up to 5 additional ones that plug in. And what I wanted to talk about are these little low-pass filter kits. Basically, they come with a little board and a little circuit board, wire, 3 toroid cores, and a couple of capacitors, and they're the NPO for temperature, so that they don't drift too much. The biggest problem I think a lot of hams have is counting the number of turns. Like, how do you count the number of turns? And it's actually very easy because you count 1 turn for every time it goes through the center of the core. So every time the wire goes through the center, you count that as 1 turn. And winding clockwise or counterclockwise doesn't affect this for this particular one. So this one I built for 10 meters, and that's the thing you want to make sure you indicate which bands you built for, because otherwise you have to go back and count the number of turns. That chart tells you basically how many turns of wire is required on each of the toroid cores. So if you look at L1 and L2, it tells you I've got the 12-meter band highlighted, and it tells you how many turns are required on each of the toroid cores. So I bought this little inductance capacitance meter for about $20 on eBay, and it really gives you a good peace of mind for if you've wound the toroids, and you can count the turns, but it's really nice to be able to tell what the actual inductance is of the coil. And one other thing I should mention too, when you verify the number of turns that you've made on your coil, so you can fine tune them by spreading them or compressing the windings once you've got your correct number of turns. But it's kind of nice to be able to hook up something like this. I just happen to have a couple of commercially made inductors. This one's actually a 1 microhenry inductor, 1.093 microhenries, and the rated value is 1. So it gives you pretty reasonably good accuracy. Here's 100. And you can see it's 100.3. Anyway, I know we don't have a lot of time, and hopefully I'll get more of these made, and we'll show you the kind of the finished product with the Whisper transmitter. The problem I had was, and I'm using this as an excuse, I bought originally the kit, and then it's like, oh, there's this 5-band sequencer, and with the state of bands being what they are today, I thought, it might be a good idea to have them cycle through the various bands and watch the propagation that way. And then that led to this little guy here, which is another add-on, which fits it all into a nicely made extruded aluminum case. This is a 5-watt amplifier board, because the nominal output of the unit itself is only about 150 milliwatts. So with the bands being what they are right now, it makes it kind of challenging to even see your signal coming across on Whisper. But hopefully I'll have more segments on this as I progress with the rest of the build here.
Thanks for sharing that glimpse into the box of, what is it, Unfinished Dreams?
Unfinished dreams.
Okay.
Two boxes.
We look forward to the next visit there. I can see this is going to be a good series here.
Yeah, I'm intrigued by the kit that you've got there, the Whisper kit. Oh, I'm gonna have to look that up. Something like that. I want something like that I can take on the road and do things when I'm gone. I get so bored sitting in the hotel. I've got my D-Star stuff, and that's fun. I just kind of want something else, like the Zygu or the Icom 705 when that's available. Something be kind of fun to take.
Oh yeah. Yep, certainly will. Well, Emile, a while ago we got out of order on the post that you were talking about tonight, but I think I've got the one that you were mentioning in the queue now, if you want to cover it.
I do, and like I was saying back then, you guys were mentioning my most excellent video prowess on my video, giving you nausea. Well, I think you must have returned the favor, because these videos you posted on our Facebook forum about the antenna guys who changed out television transmission, I believe, transmitter. I have the hardest problems looking at these things without looking away or getting the heebie-jeebies, as I call them, and all kind of issues, man. I got to hand it to these guys. The title of the video was Fearless Crew Works Above the Clouds. And I don't know, when that clamp right there let go, and you realize that wasn't supposed to happen, I would have probably jumped off the thing. Those guys are all shoved up on the top of there, just looking down, what is it, thousands of feet or 1,000 feet or so. I forget how tall it was, but wow.
Yeah,
I can't even imagine that. And I think from reading the posts a little bit, George, you said you used to do some tower climbing.
Yeah, but the highest I've ever been is 400 feet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
I'm not
that's like
going
a
there.
free thrill ride right there.
Yeah,
I mean,
well,
I get queasy over much over 40 or 50 feet. That's something. Now, was that free climbing, George, or was there like an inside ladder arrangement on that tower?
Well, I've been 400 feet a couple of different times. And one time it was a self-supporter tower, so it kind of tapered up, but there was no ladder. But I did get on the inside and, climbed on the rungs in there, and yeah, I only ever climbed that one once. The other one was a television tower, sort of like this one here. I think this one, I've forgotten how tall they said it was, somewhere in the 1,500 foot range, I think. And there are elevators. In most towers above 1,000 feet, there's an elevator in there. And the other one that I was on was a 2,000 foot tower. And we rode the elevator up to 400 feet and got out there and worked on a microwave dish.
You take a joyride the rest of the way up since you were there?
No, I didn't. And no, it doesn't go all the way to the top. You have to get off and climb the last 100 feet. And then the antenna's sitting on top of that. It's,
But once you get to 1,900 feet, the other 100 feet really doesn't matter.
You don't notice much
probably
difference, I don't think.
So one of the other things that struck me about that video, George, was the fact that I want to say they said the antenna itself, the replacement antenna, I saw they had to remove the old one, and then they replaced it. Did I read right that this antenna weighs a ton?
Yes, that was a UHF. It was kind of lightweight compared to some of the low band VHF antennas.
That's lightweight?
Yes. Well, Tommy?
That's pretty hard on your body, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah.
Be in pretty good
Those
shape.
Those guys are in good shape, though.
Yeah, I was going to say, you probably got to be in pretty good shape to hang up there.
Yeah. Assuming that because I don't think they're around anymore, at least not the wardrobe department, assuming that you couldn't come up with a good RadioShack t-shirt or a red, white, and blue stars and stripes deer antler shirt, what would be your next best choice? You know, what would you?
I'd probably go to the AmateurLogic.Spreadshirt.com and get me some AmateurLogic or Ham College swag.
You would do that, wouldn't you?
I would, yeah, absolutely I would. I've done it before. I'll do it again.
What if you just like had a powerful thirst?
Well, you could get a cup.
Oh, like a
Yeah.
AmateurLogic.TV mug.
Yeah.
Cool. And a couple other things we want to mention on the way out the door. Of course, we always mention our social media networks because, well,
Because we're the social people.
that's just the way we roll. You can check us out on facebook.com/group/AmateurLogic.TV or
You can follow us on Twitter at AmateurLogic.
The groups.io. Email, I don't know what it's called, reflector at groups.io/G/AmateurLogic.
or yeah, I put him on the spot.
Yeah.
You did,
That's
you
okay.
did, and I've got my Skype screen minimized, so I can't even read it.
Yeah, it's there is no.
There's
Well,
nothing-
the last one was the Groups IO, and
Yeah.
the list here on that.
There wasn't another one. He was pulling your leg.
Okay. Google Plus, which is no more,
Yeah, that's true.
sadly.
Yeah, if you're living in the past, go to the Google Plus group.
in the way past. I think that's pretty much going to be a wrap. So before we get out of here, I'm looking forward to seeing some of you next weekend at the Capital City Ham Fest here in Jackson, Mississippi. You'll be there too, won't
I
you?
will be there.
And so join us there if you're in the neighborhood. Tommy, any final parting thoughts from you?
No, just hope to see some of you there. If you come, wear some AmateurLogic swag if you've got it.
Mm-hmm.
And even if you don't, be sure and stop us if you see us walking through and say hi.
Yeah. Emile?
All right. Well, I'm not sure I'm going to make it, so everybody stay safe and safe travels if you're going up there. But other than that, stay warm, Mike, and others out there. And I think that's it. Keep it cheap.
Keep it
Keep
cheap.
it cheap. That's a T-shirt.
I'm sure I'll be shoveling tomorrow. We're supposed to get an overnighter, and it's supposed to dump about 20 centimeters of white stuff. So we're under a warning right now, actually. So.
Wow.
But I just had one more thing to add. You know, as you were talking about the lifetime tubes from RadioShack,
Mm-hmm.
I remember those. And the reason I remember them is because they had gold-plated pins on the bottom of the tube.
Oh, wow.
And I wish I could find a picture of it, but yeah, I remember the gold-plated pins they had on the tube. So that's probably why they were a premium and why they could offer a lifetime warranty on them.
Thanks for joining us here. Check us out again next month around the middle of the month. At the end of the month, join us at Ham College. We'll be shooting the next episode. It'll be our first episode going into the extra exam. So,
Yep. Come join us and hear the buzzer.
Yeah,
If you
there will be plenty of that.
want to see us scratching our heads and trying to figure it out, because it's been a while since I took that.
Yeah, me too. Me too. All right.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
So
Now, your time's coming.
All right.
7-3.
7-3. Thanks, everyone.
7-3.
Well, Emile, you've got a post here to tell us about that came from, was it Facebook?
Yeah, it was our fearless leader on Facebook, you. And speaking of nausea, when you guys were talking about my my excellent video prowess with nausea. Oh wait, that's not it.
You were talking about your little digital devices a while ago that you couldn't remember the name
digital
of.
modes.
Digital mode.
Yeah, on my Raspberry Pis.
Okay. Well, is that what you're going to talk about now?
No,
Okay.
it's not. That's
Well, why'd you bring it up?
because we were talking about the login program that you showed on your segment. I could use that to run digital from my Pi when I'm
could?
gone.
Oh, yeah, you could. But you were going to say,